And a very good morning to you. Today I'm in the small Bedfordshire village of Clophill, which is located at the junction of the A6, halfway between Luton and Bedford, and the A507, halfway between Ampthill and Shefford. It's quite a quaint little village, got some interesting features here. It's got a couple of pubs, a shop, a green, and I've just parked up on the high street and I'm just walking through the village now to begin the walk to Haynes. It's a circular walk of approximately 6 miles. Should take me around about 2.5 hours, maybe slightly longer if I stop for little breaks along the way. But it's let's go and enjoy the walk. And it's the morning rush hour at the moment, so all the school buses and so on are bobbing by, but it is normally quite a quiet little village, apart from this time of day, it would seem. The first part of the walk is around about 1/4 mile, I'd say, from the green near the main road to Great Lane, where we'll take a left-hand turn and start to head out of the village and in the general direction of the village of Haynes. Okay, so once you turn off the high street onto Great Lane, you immediately turn onto Little Lane, and we'll just carry on up here for a little while. And we'll come to Kiln Lane, we'll take a right turn there and continue on the walk. And as you see, we soon leave the quaint little cottages and houses of Clophill and start this gentle hill out of the village through this sunken road or sunken way between the trees. Really quite pleasant already. And in case you're wondering why I'm huffing and puffing so much, I recently recovered from COVID and still a little bit of an after effect on my breathing. But I do find that lots of fresh air certainly helps with this. But I have noticed, and I'm sure some of you guys that have had COVID, that what were hills that didn't get you slightly out of breath are now hills that do get you slightly out of breath, and hopefully over time that will improve. And I don't suppose getting a little bit older each year is helping either. Anyway, we're just coming up to Kiln Lane now. I'm going to take a right turn and carry on the walk. Wasn't immediately clear where you came across here, to be fair. Looked like it was all sealed off, but in this far right hand corner of that field is a little gateway through to this pathway. So we're back on track now. I thought I'd somehow managed to go wrong already, which would have been a bit disappointing since I only started 5 minutes ago. But that's quite usual for me. Okay, let's carry on. Looks like the Cubs and Scouts probably meet here in the woods as their wood collection for their fire. Some chopped logs to sit on, and somewhere to burn the wood and cook some sausages and stuff, I dare say. Brilliant. That's it, coming across this in here. Only just in here as well. And I guess they call that a bivouac. walk into someone's home here. And that is a very fine looking apple orchard, I have to say. I don't know what variety are going to be coming off those trees, but I'm sure they're going to be delicious when they do come off. Well, that's where we've just come from, past the apple orchard, come out onto a road here. I'm not entirely sure where I'm supposed to go from this point. The blog I read relating to this particular walk mentioned going on a road briefly. Ah, there we go, I see the sign now, hiding amongst the trees up there. So, right, that makes sense now. Just a little small walk along this road, and then take the path off to the right here. Nothing worse than taking a wrong turning right at the beginning of a walk. Done it many times. There's the ubiquitous and frequent private land sign that someone's decided to graffiti. Green Sand Ridge Walk, public footpath. Well, what can I say? I feel almost embarrassed saying this. I've lived in this part of the world virtually all my life, certainly since the age of 11, in this general neck of the woods in the south of England, or central England, and I never knew this place existed. This is worthy of a little visit on its own. St Mary's Old Church, Clophill. Fine views from this church as well. As per the photo that I posted, the Commonwealth War grave's just there as well. It seems there's a staircase built into the tower there that you can walk up to the top of. The door is locked, so I'm assuming that it is open at certain times and you can go up there and go to the top. Unfortunately, that is not the case today, but never mind, I've got a walk to do, so I shall carry on. What a fantastic find that was. And I suppose everyone that is watching this that lives in this general neck of the woods is wondering how I didn't know about it. Well, so am I. magnificent. Right, there's the answer to that. It says here, entry to the observation tower is by request only. The tower is generally open for tours at 10 AM and 2 PM daily. It's about 9:30 at the moment. If the wardens are not on site, then please call the number to reserve a place. Minimum donation £3 per adult and £2 per child. I'd say that's well worth arranging if you've ever got the time and want to come up and visit the top of the tower and have a look around. Great fun. And once you walk up from the old church, heading in the direction of Haynes, you come to this gate with one or two signs that make it quite clear they don't want you to go straight on here. They want you to take the footpath. Which is one of those that looks like it gets quite overgrown once the growing starts in earnest. It's the end of April at the moment, and once we get into May, all this foliage and so on tends to really go mad, and if they don't come along and trim it back, then these paths can sometimes become almost impassable. It looks fairly well walked on though, looking at the ground, so it might not be as bad as I think it could possibly be. Anyway, let's carry on. I think we're going through some woods in a moment. Well, we're well on our way to Haynes now, out of Clophill, and the A6 I mentioned that goes through Clophill, and the A507. We've walked out to the north of Clophill, and the A6 is just over there in the distance, well away from me, thankfully. If you drive to Haynes and you're on the A6, you will come to a right-hand turn along the A6 there. Well, you can kind of go straight on here, or you can take a right-hand turn and continue on the Green Sand Ridge walk. That's what I'm going to be doing. It wasn't quite clear on the instructions that I'd originally downloaded for this walk, because it wasn't specifically to do with the Green Sand Ridge walk. It was a circular walk from Clophill to Haynes, back to Clophill, partly taking in the Green Sands Ridge walk. So I was just making sure I still needed to be on it, and I do. So essentially you stay on the Green Sands Ridge walk all the way from Clophill to Haynes, and as this is a circular walk, it's going to send me back a different way to Clophill, which won't be on that, I am assuming, at this moment. So anyway, off we go. Great so far, and I look forward to getting lost at some point again. woods or a forest in springtime. The bluebells out. Yeah, it's quite cool, and it's still fairly early in the morning, so although the speed I'm walking today, which is fairly slowly, it will soon be lunchtime. That'll time rather nicely to arriving back into Clophill. The choice of 2 pubs now. The sign said to take a left here. I presume that takes you back to Clophill a little bit quicker than this way's going to take me, because this should take me to Haynes first, but this is the way the sign says, so this is the way I'm going. And come to a 4-way junction here now. Not entirely sure, but Haynes should be this way. Oh, I'm getting this sneaking feeling I might have taken a wrong turn in slightly here, and I'm now walking in the opposite direction of the or what will become the return walk back to Clophill. Not 100% sure, but I'm going to walk down here, see if this brings me out to Haynes, and then look at the instructions from there on to take me back to Clophill. Just have this sneaky suspicion I should have kept a little bit more to the left further back there and come round in a circle and come back in this opposite direction to the way I'm walking now. But we'll see. It's always interesting. It's a lovely walk anyway. It doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Eventually I'll be back at Clophill, hopefully before the sun goes down. Right, well, that sign's kind of suggesting that I'm not on the Green Sand Ridge walk anymore. I've come off that in some way, which makes me think again that I should be walking over there somewhere to the left of where I currently am, to the village of Haynes, and this would be the return walk back to Clophill. So if I establish that that's the case, what I'm probably going to do is turn this into a figure of 8 walk as opposed to a circular walk, and go back the way I should have come, and then meet this pathway here and head back to Clophill. If that all makes sense. It kind of does in my brain at the moment, but I'll see where this leads to down here. I'm certainly heading in the right direction anyway. Well, it's confirmed. A combination of things have done this. I think some signs may have been missing, or were in the undergrowth, or I wasn't paying attention properly. But most likely I just didn't read the instructions properly. But I'm currently on the backward leg from Haynes back to Clophill, but going in the opposite direction. So, as I said before, I should be further to the left here, arriving in Haynes, taking a kind of a right hand turn, and then another right hand turn onto this pathway right the way through Chicksands Woods, which is where we are now, and back to Clophill. Now, so in essence this was going to be a circular walk going in a clockwise direction, and it's turned into a figure of 8 walk, and I'm currently going in an anti-clockwise direction. So I shall continue on to Haynes, go the way I should have gone earlier, back in the other direction, and hopefully meet this path further along and finish up the walk back into Clophill. But that's what walking's all about. You don't necessarily take the route someone else has planned for you or suggested. Not always because you didn't want to, sometimes because these things just happen. Anyway, it's beautiful here, irrespective of the fact I'm actually now walking in the wrong direction. But fairly soon I will be taking a left-hand turn towards the village of Haynes. Well, we're just coming to the end of this pathway through the woods that is called Great Lane, and there's some signs up here, but I'm going to be taking a left-hand turn towards Haynes and hopefully finding out where I went wrong, because I'm quite intrigued now as to what happened and where I'll come back at some point to the point where I clearly went right when I should have gone left, or straight on when I should have gone left, or something like that. Anyway, yeah, interesting. I wish people would do that. Coming back for it later, I suppose, will be the answer if you saw anyone, but it's funny how you come back 2 weeks later and it's still there with moss growing on it. Never mind. And there's a doggy-doo bin just down there as well. Right, well, this has been interesting so far. And as usual, my sense of direction, as I say, well, it's let me down somewhat, but I think the sign's probably more so. Okay, the sign's saying Shefford, so we definitely need to be going left here. And just as confirmation, Chick Sands Wood, that is the return leg back to Clophill, and this is where I should have been coming and walking in that direction, but as I say, I'm going to try and discover the wrong way round the clockwise loop and come back to this further along at that point where I took a left turn. Let's see how we get on. To be sure, I've just come from the direction of, well, Ireland. And I have a feeling I'm going to be walking back in that general direction, but cutting across the fields over there, over to that sort of direction over there. Quite which way you walk, I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm just going to have to up there, across the field somewhere over there. But firstly, I'm going to go into the village of Haynes, which is where I should have come in the first place, and see if I can grab a cup of tea or something like that. I don't even know if there's a shop here, so I'm going to wander up here, have a little look around, and then continue my now figure of 8 walk back to the village of Clophill. Here's a sign here, better have a look at that. Right, well, made it to Haynes, so I'm sort of thinking that I'm roughly about halfway now, and I'm sure I've gone more than 3 miles. I'll see when I get back to Clophill just exactly how many I've done. This walk, the circular walk, if you stick to the correct paths and so on, is supposed to be 6 miles. Now I do tend to amble off track a little bit as a matter of course, so I'm always a little bit more than those distances that are quoted, but I have a feeling I'm going to be quite a lot more today. Just asked a nice young lady if there's a shop here, and apparently there's a post office just down there, she said, so I'm assuming she means down there. Miniature railway, something else I've not heard about before either. Anyway, I need a small amount of refreshment and then I shall head back to Clophill. Well, there appears to be a bus service of sorts visiting this little village. It's quite a long village really. It's not your typical English village. There's a lot of modern houses here, interspersed and intermingled with some traditional old cottages and so on. I suppose it's typical of many small English villages that have just gradually got bigger and bigger over the years as there's been infilling and developments around the edges of it and so on and so forth. So I think I'm probably entering what is actually the true original part of Haynes now, as there's a sign there that looks a bit more traditional than the one I saw earlier on. Right, that's refreshment completed. Let's get out of Haynes, head back to that junction I was at earlier on. I knew I should have had the Ginster's cheese and onion slice rather than that massive great big baguette, because the filling to bread ratio was not to my standards, not to my requirements, I should say. Still, it's filled a gap, and I dare say it's going to swell up inside my stomach now for the next 2 hours, so that should keep me going. Right, let's head back, see where it all went horribly wrong earlier on. Okay, well, I'm back to this junction again. Now, originally I came from the left there, and I think that should have been where I was going now, having come from the right here. Something seemed to go wrong earlier on. I'm going to head off to the right and hopefully meet up with the area where I took a wrong turn in earlier and then rejoin the route halfway along my way back to Clophill. We shall see. It doesn't really matter. I had a bite to eat and a drink and I've got some chocolate in my pocket and it's a beautiful day and all's good with the world, so it doesn't really matter. The 6 mile walk has probably turned into 8 miles or something like that, but I will be interested to see what my pedometer and GPS says I've been doing when I get back to my car in Clophill. Right, we're just going along a bit of a boring bit now along the road. I'm expecting to be able to find some sort of footpath on the left at some point along here, hopefully to take me back to the junction very early on in this walk where I couldn't decide whether to go straight on or to turn right. I turned right, so I'm hoping I'll come back from the straight on direction. We shall see. We shall see. It's quite clear now that that public footpath there is the one I should have taken to get me to Haynes, and arrived in Haynes and then come back down the road I just walked down and taken a left turn. So I'm back on track, albeit in completely the wrong direction. But that is the way of these things, I'm afraid. I'll be sleeping in my own bed tonight, that's for sure. At least I hope I will. Anyway, we'll carry on and see. There should be a public footpath taking me off to the left, somewhere along here. Hopefully I'll come to it fairly soon. Right. Okay, I'm at, or just coming into Haynes Church End. And I appear to be coming to a public footpath on the left. So I'm kind of hoping that this is the one that I should have come in the other direction along about 2 hours ago. Public bridleway. Well, I'm going to take that because it is most definitely in the correct direction. When you look on Google Maps, it does show another one a little bit further along, also going in the right direction. But I'm pretty sure this actually is going to be the one I should have come along earlier on. So great, my figure of 8 is on target still. We can abandon the circular walk now. This is a nice area. Don't know if this is part of someone's garden that's got clearly marking out where you're supposed to walk and where you're not really supposed to walk. Absolutely, keep your dog on a lead. Close the gate, livestock present. Absolutely. Right. I assume where I can see that yellow post, that's where I'm heading. Well, that sign there said this is the new route. So I'm wondering where the old route was. That's probably the route further up the road that I just mentioned back there. I can only assume so because I've not seen any other routes of any description since I left the village of Haynes. So anyway, it's quite clear where I should be walking here. And still not really recognising anything over in that direction just yet. I think this walk's going to look like a badly drawn letter P actually in the end, rather than circular or an 8 or a 6. No, a D, a letter D. Let's get this right. And if you draw the map, no, a P, that's right. A badly drawn P. Anyway, I'll see where this brings me out and take it from there. It's been interesting though, I must admit. It's been a lovely walk all the way across these gentle Bedfordshire hills. Very peaceful and quiet, and particularly discovering the abandoned church, or I think they actually described it as a vandalised church. Obviously not vandalised in the way we would think of in this day and age. I think it was vandalised hundreds of years ago. Certainly somewhere I'm going to go back to at some point to have a proper look round, maybe go up that tower, pay my £3 and look into it a bit more, because it certainly has got an interesting history. Don't know if you noticed on the video, there was also some accommodation just there as well. They seem to be part of the care of the church area and the Commonwealth war graves. And of course we've got some accommodation too, so if you're ever staying in this area, that might not be a bad place to stay. I don't think it was luxury accommodation, but it certainly looked pleasant enough from the outside. I think it was called a Connor Lodge or Eco Lodge, something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but it is on the video back there somewhere. Well, this looks quite interesting. Little arrow there that points across. And a sign there saying private, no public right of way. So it's quite clear. Got to carry on down this way. This does look vaguely familiar from earlier on. I'm going to have to check back the video later on just to see what it, or where it was I walked and then took the wrong turning. Anyway, we press on. These arable fields all look the same. No, I've definitely not been this way before. Just I thought it was a bit too soon. There's a lot of chalk streams around these parts coming off the Chiltern Hills. This one is actually dried up. Considering it's only the end of April, that just goes to show what a dry spring we've had. Because normally that would stream like that would still be flowing quite a lot. But it has been very dry, and in fact the ground, when you look at it, is very cracked. My lawn at home's got loads of cracks on it. But I dare say when we get to May or June, it will rain for a month and not stop at all. And this is how the weather seems to be going these days. Long periods of dry and long periods of wet, with a few quite hefty storms thrown in. I'm feeling at the top of when I get across this field, it's where those houses are and trees. I sort of get the feeling that's where I must have started to turn right instead of going straight on. Very intrigued by this actually, but not that it really matters in the slightest. I was only going on a walk that someone else had suggested on the internet. Maybe I'll post this in great detail on the internet and say, hey, don't go on a circle, go on a P-shaped walk. See what anyone makes of that. Or in fact, don't follow anything on the internet, just follow your nose. See where it leads you to. Right, well, finally come to something that resembles a public footpath or bridleway again. Cyclist just came racing down, suddenly jammed his brakes on and then turned in here. I might not have even noticed that, you know, had he not done that. So thanks to him. I'm going to take this route, which sort of at the moment feels like I'm going slightly in the wrong direction, but I am expecting a turn off to the right just along here somewhere that will take me back to Clophill, up over the hill there. We shall see. This is getting more interesting by the minute, this walk. Right, well, here we are, finally. Mystery solved. I do remember this bit. And I remember coming across this bridge and wondering whether I should go that way or that way. And in fact, what should have happened is I should have gone that way and broadly followed the path and route that I've just taken from Haynes to here, but in the opposite direction. I shouldn't have actually got quite this far, I don't think. What I should have done is taken a right turn, or left as we're looking, over through those... No, I should have come this way, and when I came back through the woods, I would have come out just up at the top of the hill over there near Clophill, through the Chicksands woods. I should never have made it this far, or certainly shouldn't have turned right here anyway. Right, that, I guess, is mystery solved, I think. So I'm going to go back now pretty much the way I came, and I should see some sort of turn off to the left, which is where I actually should have come back from had I done the circular walk that I set out to do. Anyway, let's head back to Clophill. My legs are starting to ache now. That deja vu feeling. How many hours ago was it? I think this has taken about an hour longer than I thought it would do, but for obvious reasons. One thing that struck me about this walk, more than anything else, is the fact it's pretty quiet. I've not seen too many people at all during the entire walk. Saying that, it is a Wednesday morning in the middle of the week, so most people are out at work or at school. But one thing that has pleased me no end is the fact that there's been little or no litter and little or no dog muck, because that is one thing that can, you know, take the edge off a walk, really, if you come across that kind of thing. So but I'm putting that down mostly to the fact it's not a particularly busy walk. Certainly nice if you just like to be in your own space, in your own little zone for a while, and listen to some music or just listen to the nature around you. It's certainly brilliant for that. Not too many hills, fairly gentle undulations in the land, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll be back in Clophill soon. I'll let you know how many miles I actually did there. Certainly more than the listed miles for the walk I saw. Well, finally made it back here anyway, and just going to walk back into Clophill a slightly different way than I got to this point. Where you take a left turn down there, it takes you back to the village just the same. Clophill Eco Lodges, there they are over there, and they're nice enough. Always worth considering if you're in these parts. Right, let's head back. Right, well, here we are back at in Clophill village. Right, well, here we are back in Clophill village. My car's parked just a little way down the way there, and I've just returned back down this road instead of the other one I went up initially when we started. Well, my pedometer and GPS is telling me that I walked 9 miles and about 19,000 steps, which is 3 miles further than the walk was supposed to be. So clearly I did take do slightly more ambling than I normally do, and obviously there was a wrong turn there somewhere. Still not 100% sure. Anyway, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's a good walk, had a great walk, saw something new, saw some interesting places. And I'm going to be back to check out this in more detail some other time. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Catch up with you again soon. Bye-bye.